So, in fairness, I'll have to ask you then flat out, are you witnessing war crimes committed by Ukrainian forces?
Yes, I am. I mean, I won't say that I was a direct witness to the moment that it happened, but again, as I mentioned, 3 days ago, I think it was, I went to this market area that was hit by Ukrainian grad missiles, Ukrainian fired grad missiles, again, killing 5 civilians in the prime of the day when, when most people would be at the market. While I was there taking photos and video footage, I met a man who's like with a safety counselor or committee or something with the market. And he was saying, this has been happening every day, and the Ukrainians know that they're firing at a market. There's no military target here. And I looked around, and it was indeed a large market surrounded by residential buildings, no military target. And it was not the first time it was been targeted. So that is a war crime. Deliberately targeting a crowded public area is a war crime, and that's what Ukraine has been doing for 8 years. And all these people talking about Russia's war have been ignoring the fact that Ukraine has been warring upon the Donbas republics for 8 years.
Right. Yes, that is something that's being ignored. Patrick Lancaster has also arrived on the scene in moments where shelling has occurred in broad daylight in the middle of civilian areas, no military targets,
Yes.
no military equipment there really no strategic advantage from what I can gather from some of these attacks.
No, in fact, March 14th, I believe it was, maybe 3 blocks from where I currently am. So in the center of Donetsk, Ukraine fired a Tuchka-U missile, and it had cluster munitions, and it killed 21 people and injured nearly 40. And so again, firing in I think it was around noon. I might be wrong about the time, but anyway, the point being, firing on the city in the heart of the city during daytime, knowing it would kill many civilians. That's another war crime. That's not the first time. When I came here in 2019 and went to Gorlovka, that city north of Donetsk was heavily hit in, I believe it was 2014 or 2016. Heavily hit, and like many civilians killed, many children killed, and there's no military objective. It's completely it's terrorizing the population. And actually, the interesting thing, like when I talked with people, and I don't want to say that this is every single person here, but the people that I did speak with, both civilian and also in the DPR military, they said, initially we didn't necessarily need autonomy. We didn't want what was happening in Kiev and the massacre in Odessa to come to us. They were aware of the Nazis in Ukraine and what they were capable of, but also they're ethnic Russians. They wanted to be able to speak their language, and they also didn't want what Kiev has been doing, the rewriting of history, wherein Nazis are now glorified, and the Soviet army that liberated these areas from Nazis are now vilified. They didn't obviously want that, because this is their history, and that's what Ukraine has been doing. So they said, like, initially we just wanted to be away from that, and then because of that crime of not wanting to be a part of what Kiev was doing, the Kiev regime started shelling them, and has been for 8 years.